Hi all! If you're like me, you've just finished up and graduated from a program and it's time to either take the CPCE or the NCE. And I've gotten a lot of requests lately for figuring out how to mix up the information. And one thing I noticed about both the NCE and the CPCE is I broke it down into two parts. So the first part was mostly theory-based. If you were looking for Adler, if you were looking for Wren, if you were looking for Johari's window, if you were looking for any of that information, that was all based on a theory. And what I did was I created a piece of paper that said name and type of theory. And then I put on the paper just an overview, key points, things to remember if there was a mnemonic, and then techniques, if there were any techniques. Some of the theories don't have techniques, it's just a concept like lifespan, but some of them do have techniques like ask open-ended questions and summarize. So if we look at this one, I just picked one that was individual. This is on Alfred Adler, and my mnemonic that would go in the remember space is Alfred Adler is an asshole, because he was talking about that concept of firstborn. He was one of the very first family counselors, so I would put that in the overview. I would also put in inferiority and superiority and birth order in there. He also called that constellation. And the idea behind it was the middle child was overshadowed. So the key points, he did not look at irrational beliefs. He believed in the concept of will to power. And there was a push button, positive rather than negative. And then things to remember is he talked about healthy people are social, techniques are mirroring or twinning or asking as if questions. And then I just gave a couple of key factoids, like for the fact that he broke away from the Neo-Freudian. So when Anna Freud was trying to create this kind of next generation of Sigmund Freud's followers, he broke away from the psychodynamic model. There are also concepts called spitting in a client soup, examining memories, and catching oneself. So these are all of the terms that are key to Adlerian theory. And I put it all together in this sheet, and then that gave me a great way to study it. And I went through and I did it in alphabetical order, about 63 major theorists. And then, so that was kind of like when I was looking at the overall order. The second part of it was as a factoid. So you can see that this is just a sheet of factoids. The factoids were the things that didn't fit into theories. For example, teen pregnancy is higher in the United States than it is in other developed industrial nations. Or emic is me working with the world, etic is I don't see color. Universality in group is we-ness. Alloplastic is all together. Autoplastic is dealing with the plastic in the environment. Things like that. Nosology. So terms and things that you needed to know, but didn't really fit in a theory model. So those were the two basic platforms that I used. I would have the theory and the theorist, and then I would just have factoids, things that you just needed to know. Like, for example, suicidal people give things away. That's not based on a theory, that's based on research and things along those lines, but it doesn't really fit into a theory model. It's just information you needed to know. And then the third part of this, or maybe 1A, I guess I should call it, is each of the individuals in the theory and theorist got a mnemonic phrase. So I mentioned, for example, Adler. Alfred Adler is an asshole. And I put down the name of the theorist, the theory, the technique, the key phrases, the mnemonic, and then who it was linked to. Erich Fromm and Rollo May were linked to Alfred Adler. And so that was basically how I organized it. As I learned more and more about a theory or a theorist, I would put it on this information. And then if it just wound up being something that I needed to know, like for example, NCE is a power test as opposed to the IQ, which is a speed test, then that wound up going on here. So that is how I broke down how to study for both the CPCE and the NCE. So hopefully that is helpful to you. If you would like a copy of these, I have them for sale, but feel free to give me an email, and I've given you my Gmail account, and I'll be happy to talk to you about them and give you copies of them and things like that for a fee. So anyway, this is Bridget. I am rooting for you to pass the CPCE and the NCE. Good luck.